Now, we would like to continue with our program, and our next workshop will be Empowering Women for a Rewarding Retirement. This is a very interesting topic. It will be presented by Javier Lopez. She is the Vice President Wealth Advisor with Truist Wealth. So go ahead, Javier. We are ready for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for, having me here. I just want to make sure that I can share my screen appropriately and that you all can see everything. So give me just 1 second, bear with me. Can you all see me fine and hear me okay? Very good, very good. So my name is Javier Lopez, as Hilda mentioned. I am a wealth advisor and a retirement planning counselor for Truist, and I have worked for the bank for about 20 years in performing different positions. I live in Miami, a little bit far from where you guys are, but I was born and raised in Cuba. I am bilingual, trilingual. I speak Spanish, English, and Portuguese. I have two handsome boys that are keeping me busy and a few pets. So, my life is a little bit crazy with all of that and having the kids being at home, taking classes. Thank God summer is here and school is over. I'm also an athlete and a member of the U.S. fencing veteran team, and I compete in national and international competitions for the country. So again, I'm very happy to be here and to participate in this event and to share the experience I have on ways how I help. And so, as you know, retirement nowadays is completely different to what it was for our parents and our grandparents. It is the beginning of a new chapter for some people. Retirement is longer sometimes than their professional career. And the new phase of retirement is freedom. It's freedom to make choices and to decide, what do you want to do and what to spend your time. And as I mentioned before, so retirement is totally different nowadays, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves based on what we can do. So give me just 1 second. Let me just move here the slide. Give me just 1 second. Okay. So this is why we want to make sure that we understand what is driving the changes. What type of activities are you want to have in terms of retirement? What is really what you want to do as you go through? Hilda, for some reason, I'm so sorry, guys. For some reason, the slides are not working on my end.
Fernando, can you help?
Oh yeah, got it. Yes, perfect. Thank
Okay.
you so much. I got it.
You're welcome.
Yes. Sorry, guys. It's technology. So as we
Yes.
said,
No worries.
today retirement, it means freedom basically to make your choices and also to make changes. What do you want to do? Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to travel? Do you want to explore a second career, even to be an entrepreneur? So we need to understand what is driving the changes right now. What is driving the fact that retirement is totally different? The truth of the matter is that longevity is increasing. People are living longer. People are living healthier lives. People are exercising and looking at other activities to keep them healthy. We just heard the doctors and a nurse practitioner talking about how to improve our life. People are changing and life is changing the funding of and sources of your retirement. Where is the money coming from to fulfill those needs and those ones that you want to do? And also people are looking into later for retirement age at this point. So let's talk about a couple of factors here. So it's important to understand why retirement is changing, but at the same time, what's happening, especially with women, and why it's important to plan for this, because statistically, women are living longer, and because of the longevity, women on average are having, more difficulties on funding these retirements and looking for ways. So for instance, women on average will live 5 years longer than men, but often they're survived by a decade or more. So these are, big numbers. 1/3 of all women will live at least 8 to 10 years longer than Social Security projections. And 9 out of 10 women will solely responsible for the financial well-being at some point in their life. So at the same time, more than half of women will be widowed by the age of 70, and 62% of people and older will provide financial support for some family members. So this is why it's important from now and even as we go through the years to start planning how we want to live those 20 or those 25 years to come that we're going to be in retirement based on a statistic. So as we all know, retirement as life is not in a straight line. Because it's not in a straight line, we need to plan, and we usually um, try to look at and break it down in 3 phases. So we find that in early retirement, people are taking advantage of all the things that they wanted it to do during retirement: traveling, education, volunteering, and even exercising or entrepreneurship. People want to start a new business in the early stage of retirement. The second stage, or the second phase, as we call it, is the mid-retirement, stage, when people take the time to relax, spend some time with the family and friends, and even volunteering a little bit more. They have a little bit more time to spend on that. And the last but not least, late retirement stage is basically the legacy part of what you want to do. We also seeing a lot of potential health issues. We're seeing that decisions are made where if there's going to be a living facility or home care need at this point, and families needs to start making those decisions for you if you don't plan for it. There's very there's a lot of important factors to take a look at when you go through these phases, and one of them is how to plan the income and the funding for the retirement stages. There's 3 words that are extremely important to analyze, and when Hilda asked to you guys to look at some pens and pencils to write notes, etc., this is the point where I would recommend you to do so. We need to start to break down our needs. What are the basic necessities? We're talking about food, we're talking about medicine, we're talking about gas. In that process as well, we want to take a look at our wants, the nice things to have. Maybe we want to travel, maybe we want a second home, or any other of those things that we wanted it to have when we were not in retirement age. And also, the last but not least, it will be the wishes, leaving a legacy. How you want to be remembered, how people will recognize and you leaving those things behind, and it's important for you to plan as well. The retirement, as I said, retirement income is extremely important. And in order for you to start building a roadmap to understand what are your needs and where they are in order to support that retirement stages, you need to ask questions such as, have I saved enough? Am I invested in a way that will help my savings last? That's very important. We got to make sure that the money that we have invested or what we have saved is enough to take us to those maybe 25, 30 years in retirement. And the next question will be, how much can I spend each year, and if I can stay on track to do so. So those three important questions you will start asking yourself. And if you work with an advisor or with somebody that has some sort of financial experience, you'll be able to start getting those answers. And don't worry if the answer is not what you expect. At least you're ahead of the game, that you have worked in this plan, and the advisor responsibility, or the banker or somebody in the financial field, will be to help you to navigate through that and find those means for you. As I said again, funding is extremely important on these stages. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of information how we get this money from in retirement. So we know that we have Social Security, but we know that it's not enough. Maybe we have a guaranteed lifetime income, or maybe we have a pension. That those will pretty much fulfill your basic financial needs. Now let's talk about the wants and the wishes that we were talking before. How these wants and wishes are going to be funded. These ones can be funded through investments that you have done in the past, or guaranteed life income. It can be done through the pension as well. So those are the different types of income streams that can help you to fulfill those needs, wants, and wishes. It is extremely important to understand that even though we have a roadmap, or we have an understanding of where the money is coming from, what do we want to do in retirement, there's different factors that come into play, and in many cases, they're uncontrollable. So let's talk about the controllable ones and the ones that we can recognize as we do this roadmap towards retirement. One of them is risk associated with the what ifs. Social Security, if Social Security is not going to be enough, and the projections says that by X amount of years, there's not going to be enough money for funding, spending. What kind of spendings do we have? What we want to spend versus what we are allowed to spend or we can afford. Healthcare is extremely important. Healthcare is becoming more expensive, and especially for retirees, and we're gonna see some statistics about that. Tax strategy, that is a key factor. People sometimes don't take note of that. And as I always said, it doesn't matter how much you make, it's how much you keep. And taxes is a big eater of income streams for retirees. And the longevity planning. What about we live longer than is expected? Nowadays, life expectancy is about 80 to 85, but we're seeing people living up to 90, 95, even 100. So if you have to be in retirement for the next 40 years, you got to plan on how the income is going to support all those years in retirement. Okay. Many factors that we can talk about in terms of Social Security, and I can give you a little bit of background. The age that you elect to start taking distribution from Social Security. If you divorce and your marriage lasted more than 10 years, what are the benefits that apply there? If you marry, how you can maximize both benefits for you and your spouse? What tax issue are tied to the benefits? What benefits a surviving spouse can draw? How working in retirement might affect your benefits? People want to still work after retirement age, but sometimes, you know, the amount of income that you're receiving from work, you know, it can affect the benefits that you're receiving after retirement. Spending is a major factor, and I'm just gonna give you a little bit of information about that. You gotta make sure that your desired spending amount, you know, corresponds with what you can afford. the asset allocation of your investment, the desire versus optimized Social Security stage. And this is just a few of the factors that it can affect your strategy. So we talk about the controllable side of all the risk that can affect the income and the funding of your retirement. However, there's other uncontrollable factors. The one that you, as the word says, you have no control. There's emergencies coming in. And I can mention a few of those. And many of us have faced or are facing these issues. And one of them is caring for an aging parent, children moving back home, divorce, the loss of a spouse and partners. With COVID, we have experienced a lot of people losing their partner and income has been reduced. Illness and disability, we're facing it right now. Catastrophe events. So those are the things that we have no control. However, we still need to plan for those. So what do you think it will be the average monthly retirement spending that retirees will face in their life? And I'm not expecting that everybody answer, but this is just a question and with the slide in front, so it's right there. So we have basically 24% is going to be taken from retirees' income just in taxes. So that's why I reiterated the fact that taxes is extremely important to take a look at. 19% will be food and transportation, 16% will be travel and entertainment, 15% of their income is gonna be taken in housing utility, 13% in savings, 8% in healthcare is going to be used from their income, and 3% to issue tuition for childcare. Just a few numbers for you to realize, you know, how much the spending in retirement could be. So one of the things that we want to make sure is that we take a closer look at healthcare, and especially for women, because we tend to live longer. And that's why I gave the statistics before. Healthcare is extremely important. And I can tell you that nowadays a typical couple cost is nearly about $420,000 over the retirement life in healthcare premium costs alone. And it raised more than $600,000 when including dental, vision, copays, and any other out-of-pocket costs. And as well, by 2030, the numbers that we're looking is that it's expected to rise to $948,000 for a healthy couple, and that includes inflation and all that. That's why the number can increase. So these are staggering statistics and numbers that we want to make sure that you guys take a look at it and what, you know, we could face. In today's dollars, long-term care and senior living costs are about $51,600, the average annual cost for an assisted living facility in the United States. $60,000 will be the average annual cost for a memory care, and $93,000 average annual cost for a nursing home. So these has to do with the third stage I mentioned before, that late stage where, you know, if people need to start deciding if they rather stay home with a family member or go to a nursing home or facility that they can be assisted better, because it is seen that family members and the children, the grandchildren, everybody needs to go back to work. They cannot stay at home, and you still need an aid. So that's where the decision needs to be made, but it's very costly. So that's why planning for that, even at this younger age, is extremely important. As I mentioned in the past, taxes is huge, is a strategy that needs to be in place when you start planning for retirement and to have a successful um, a retirement, because the amount of money that is being taken from you, you saw the statistics, 24% of your income will be paid in taxes. And one of the things, a few things that you need to consider: timing and sourcing of the distribution. Where are you taking the money and when? Is it coming from your taxable account? Is it coming from the tax defer account, your 401k, your retirement account? Is from the tax-free account? Those decisions are important to make in order to maximize the amount of income and not be taken away by the taxes. Tax treatment of other investments. If you have investment in the market or you have real estate, how is the tax treatment of those investments? Asset allocation, how you diversify the amount of assets that you have. Estate planning and gifting. If you are in a situation where your inheritance is going to be taxed, it is important to plan for that so your heirs don't have to, be faced with a tax bill. And charitable donations. It is important to understand if you have somebody or an organization that you want to give out and assist, what will be the best tax strategy to do so. So it's extremely important that you have a solid tax, a strategy right there. Talk to your accountant, talk to your tax attorney if you have, and they should be able to help you. So enough about expenses. So let's talk about having a legacy and an opportunity to write your wishes afterwards, your own life. Designing your legacy, designing your legacy is extremely important. Try not to leave that to your family members, because they will have to make those decisions for you, and ultimately that was not what you wanted to do. So in terms of designing your legacy, there's a few questions that I um, think that you should ask yourself. How do you want your estate to be handled? Do you have a charitable, organizational, or any cause that you care about that you can help? Have you planned or communicate your funeral wishes? Don't let that to a family member. That is a big responsibility. Make it your own and write it down. And very important, do you have all the documents in place where you can express what your wishes are, your desires, and also a list of your valuables. I found myself in situations where family members of clients of mine, they don't even know where the accounts are, where, how much do they have, where do they have it, and we kind of have to help them and dig into their homes, and sometimes get the help from the government to start finding these assets. So if you write it down, if you have it in an organized place, it's going to be easier for your family members to carry out your wishes. So everything that we have talked here are steps and actions that help you to prepare and for your family members to also assist when you're no longer here, or when you're also in a situation that you can now make decisions for yourself. So it is extremely important that you take advantage of this. And I want to make sure that you leave today with some steps and actions to prepare you and your family for a rewarding and lifetime retirement and a lifetime income. So what concrete actions can you take after leaving here? And I'm gonna open up for questions.
Yes, I'd like to remind everyone that you can write your question in the chat. You can do it in Spanish or English. Quisiera recordarles que pueden escribir su pregunta en el chat en Spanish o en inglés o en español. But we have questions for we have time for just 2 questions. That was very interesting information, Jaivil. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This is very educational, and this is a topic that we need to talk over and over again because we forget about retirement. So this is the question that I have heard from many people. What is the right age to start saving for retirement?
Well, the short answer to that, the sooner the better. There are some numbers that shows that when you start, at the age of 19, 20, if you start putting even the minimum amount of money towards retirement, by the age you're supposed to be retired, you could end up with $1 million, $2 million. So the earliest age that you can do so is important. However, if you haven't, any time is good to start because it will take you to the next level. So I will recommend to get together with somebody that can help you to, if you have any questions, my information will be posted there. But yeah, the sooner the better.
And of course, that was something very important that you said is the 24% that we have to pay in taxes. Are there ways to avoid that amount, or not to avoid it altogether, but to lessen it? Exactly, to minimize it.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. That's why in the following the next screen when we were talking about that, it is important to ask the questions: where are we taking the money out? Usually we advisors tend to have like a rule of thumb. So when you are in retirement and you have the 3 options, either to take it from your bank account or from your retirement, either your 401k account or your retirement account, where should we start first? And we normally say take it from your bank account. Don't take it from your 401k, because your bank account, that money that you have there is being already taxed. So your 401k, the more you leave it there, you will be deferring the payment of the taxes. So you will never avoid paying taxes, but these are the ways that you can minimize it. If you have an investment account, such as a retirement account, you need to work with your investment advisor to make sure and understand what is the tax implications of the type of investments that you have. If you invest in real estate and you sell one property, before you make that decision, get together with your CPA, because there's ways that you can minimize the amount of taxes that you will pay from the profit of that property and flip it to another property. So definitely there's many ways that you can minimize the tax implication in retirement.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have one more question. This is a very interesting question. And Maria Amer Vargas is asking it. Could you please very briefly answer it? What is the best way to start saving for retirement? Is it 401k, Roth IRA, or savings account?
It all depends. If you have the opportunity of a 401k or a retirement account, do so. So because what happens is that you will be able to defer the amount of taxes that you will pay on the growing of that account for years to come. Now, in terms of the Roth IRA, I will give a little bit of an explanation. What's the difference between a traditional and Roth IRA? A Roth IRA is used especially on the younger people or people that are on a higher, asset level, which means that the money that you save on the Roth IRA is not tax deferred, that money is taxed already. The growth of the money in that account, when you take it out, is going to be tax free. So it all depends. My recommendation always is start with a 401k if your employer permits, or a retirement account, and sit down with your advisor or your banker, and they'll be able to determine if a Roth or a traditional IRA, it will be more beneficial for you depending on the circumstances. But any type of savings will be better, yes. And a savings account is good. I mean, it's the only thing is that the savings account will not have any of the tax treatment benefits that we just talked about. So
thank you. Thank you so very much, Ivy. We really appreciate it. This concludes the presentation of our retirement plans. And of course, we will share the information, the slides with everyone. And if you have any questions, you can send an email to Ivy, and she will be very happy to answer your questions.